Hello. This video will show you how to create a voxel object with the iOS app, Voxel Drafter. This is the screen right after creating a new document, and now there is no data. There are several ways to create a voxel object, but there is another video on how to use the camera at the top, so please take a look at it. Here are some other ways. We'll start with this make basic shape. This creates basic shapes such as cylinders, rectangles, and pyramids. The topmost buttons are large classification of shapes. Below those are the shape of each subdivision. Now it shows the tube shape. As you change the buttons for the detailed classification, it changes to cone, sphere, and hemisphere. Select the cuboid icon here. The second row means the shape of the bottom, so now it is a triangular column. Next comes the quadratic prism, pentagonal prism, and hexagonal prisms, and so on. Now select the icon that looks like a pyramid at the top. The hexagonal prism has now turned into a hexagonal pyramid. Let's change the size in the input field at the bottom of the screen. First, let's change the height. Tap the area you want to change. Enter the value and tap Done to draw it. It is now taller. The maximum value that can be entered is 128. If you turn on the regular button in the lower right corner, the bottom will look like a regular polygon. In this case, X will be calculated to be a regular hexagon with respect to Z. So if regular is turned on, you cannot enter X. Try to resize it again. When I changed Z, X changed automatically. This is the rotation button, which allows you to change the angle. 90 degrees. 180 degrees. 270 degrees. And so on. Tap the T icon to create a text object. Initially, it will contain the word text, so tap the input box in the lower left corner to change it to the text you want. Let's try changing the size. In the case of text, the width is automatically calculated, so you can only enter the thickness and height. The maximum value that can be entered is 128. This is how to create a shape with make basic shape. Next is use existing shape, which will create a voxel object from some data. For example, let's select this dog. Then the voxel object will be displayed. Adjust these parameters. Size is the size of the voxel, and the smaller the value, the finer the shape and the larger the overall number of voxels. On the other hand, if you increase this value, the shape becomes coarser and the total number of voxels becomes smaller. This is a threshold value, which means the number of points needed in one voxel, but it may not have much effect here. Finally, the color. Now the number on the right is 10, so the object is displayed in 10 approximate colors. You can change the number of colors to approximate in this way. If you want to output to Minecraft, it is better to set the color to MC, so set the color to a single color in MC. Let's try outputting with this. It's kind of dark. In this case, we used MC for the color, but if you leave it as any, you can specify either dirt, stone, or oak planks for the output. This is a case of outputting with stone. The blocks are now brighter and easier to see. The next mode is to use this make from OBJ file to create a voxel object from OBJ format files. Tap the button, and then tap this select files. The files are placed in this folder in advance. In addition to OBJ files, MTL files and texture images are also required. We will select these three files here. First, tap the round button in the upper right corner. This will bring up a menu, and tap Select. Tap Select All. Next, tap Open. Then it will start loading the data. If the data is large, it may take some time. When the data loading is complete, the object will be displayed. Depending on the data, the orientation may be unintended. If this is the case, please rotate the orientation of the object. Slide the X button to rotate the object around the X-axis. When you are done, click the upper right button to go to the next step. Adjust each parameter in the same way as before, and the process is complete. The last mode is Make from Photo, which creates a voxel object from an image. Tap the button, and then tap this Select Photo. Select an image from your iOS device library and tap it. The object will then be created, and you can adjust the parameters. I want to place it vertically, so I will set it to 90 degrees. Next, you want to increase the size, so tap the input field and enter a value. If you enter a value for width, the height will be calculated automatically. You can enter either the height or width. Once you have entered the values, click the Done button to recreate them. Note that in this mode, the maximum number of sides is 256, and the thickness is always 1. Next, let's change the color. You have a large number of colors to use, then select MC for Minecraft. When you are done adjusting, click the button in the upper right corner to finish. Note that this app creates one file for each object you create. You cannot delete an object you have created. If you want to delete an object, please delete the file. Press and hold the file you want to delete, then select Delete from the menu to delete it. This concludes the explanation of how to create a voxel object. Please try to create and play around with it. Thank you for watching.